.mil email account, and if you have children or comrades that need to use it, let them set up their own account, but the children can use your account. Once you log in and create that account, you're good to go, and you can use it at the leisure of your own home. That's a good site. Yes, ma'am?
Can you explain what the DLPT is?
Yes, I can. You speak German?
I do.
So you should take the test. Defense Language Proficiency Test. It's designed to test your level of proficiency in reading and listening skills in a foreign language. If you qualify, you can also qualify for what you call a foreign language proficiency pay bonus, which says you're a qualified language, and let's suppose the Air Force Band says I'm going to Germany, they need an interpreter. Your unit could actually assign you as a translator to get the band from where they are in Munich all the way to Frankfurt. Saying, okay, tell them what you gotta tell them. Look, I need directions to get from here to here, or what trains I need to catch. You would be qualified to do that.
So being able
you
to
can call us, we can set up you to take the test.
So being able to speak German qualifies to
Take the
receive
test.
a
Yes.
bonus if you
If
pass
you
the
go
test.
into a slot that
Because I remember there's certain languages that are too common, such as, for example, Spanish, where you don't get any
You don't get any
sort
money.
of benefits. But with German, you do.
They call
or?
them prevalent enforced languages, is what they call them. But German is different, it's a European language.
Right.
So the point is, if you're in a slot that requires a language skill, and you can get slotted as one, then you can get paid for those skills. That's an additional skill you have the Air Force will pay you for. A lot of your foreign area officers, they get paid a bunch of money just to be language qualified. We test you, we give you the test, and the results are calculated by the Defense Language Institute out of Monterey, California. Wow, that's a lot of information, isn't it?
That is.
So you can
information
contact
overload.
us and we can set that test up for you whenever you're ready.
Okay.
So I remember that. See?
You did. I'm shocked. I'm really impressed.
I listened to you, believe it or not. Okay. We can skip this slide because all of us are pretty much past this, but make sure you write that website at military1source.com. That's a very good site to have access to. Those of us joining the Air Force, keep in mind, the day you signed up, you started college. This is what the Air Force, Community College of the Air Force is about. You know, you start out with 4 hours of physical education, you went through basic training, and then when you went to tech school, you selected your major at that time. When you completed all of your CDCs, at that point, you completed your major in Air Force. Then you start doing all your leadership training through ALS. Then you said, Mr. Hart, I need to go get my GNS knocked out. Once you've gotten that done, you got your degree. 5 level is the minimum level qualified to receive your CCF degree. Okay? Now, once you receive your CCF degree, that whole degree can be transferred into a baccalaureate degree. So you start your 3rd year of college once you've gotten your CCF degree through the Air University Associate Baccalaureate Degree Program. That's your AUABC program. Any questions on that? It's 64 semester hours transferred in, so you need no more than 60 to 64 hours to get your baccalaureate degree once you've completed this one. And this degree is acquired basically by you doing the job you do every day. That's it. And keep it simple, right? Easy. Next slide. You can skip this slide. Next one. Next one. Here's the good one. Air Force is the only branch of service that does not have a joint services transcript. So you all would have to contact the Community College of the Air Force to get your transcript. I can get your transcript for you as well. So if you need a transcript sent from one school to another, it costs you nothing. This is from the Community College of the Air Force, or you can do it yourself if you know how to do it. If you don't know, contact me and I'll show you how to get through that process if you need to transfer credits. Okay? Next slide. One thing the Air Force has as well, you have what you call your VMAT, that's your Verification of Military Education and Training. You go to the DoD Transition Tab GPS website to pull up your VMAT transcript. That VMAT transcript basically shows everything you've done since you've been in the military. So make sure you print that off as well. Y'all know the window of opportunity for applying for TA, 45 days prior to the start of the term. You can register for your coursework and apply for TA. No later than 7 days prior to the actual start of the term, the TA must be approved by you and the supervisor. So make sure you apply within that window of opportunity. If you apply after that time, you won't get it. Then you're gonna call me and say, Mr. Hart, can you help me? I'm gonna say, yes, I can. But will I? Yes, I will. Because I know I focus on your mission as well. So I don't have a problem with taking care of you guys at any given point. That's what we do. Okay? Next slide. $4,500 per year. The year begins 1 October each year, ends 30 September the following year. Calendar year is $9,000. Fiscal year is $4,500. Use it wisely. Do not spend all your money at one school. Remember I said all your basic gen eds are subjects that don't have to cost an arm and a leg to complete. You have 3 schools on base right here and several in the NCR, National Capital Region, that you can get math for less than $750, English for less than $750. Okay, keep those things in mind. So be cautious about how much you want to spend. Cost conscious when you start spending money for gen ed subjects. Now, you don't have to go for an academic degree, but the whole point is making sure you understand that the school must be approved for training veterans, and TA basically covers all academics, period. All academics. At one point, it covered vocational before, but not anymore. Next slide. Grades. How many of us got bad grades before? Had to pay money back.
Oh, no.
You had to pay no money back, you got a waiver. Okay, anybody else? What you wanna make sure you do is when you go into school, you create work-life balance. Make sure that family, work, and school does not conflict one with another. We get really busy, knowing we can't complete a course, always drop the course during the add drop period so you're not charged. If you go beyond that period, the school's gonna charge you some money, the Air Force is gonna take it out of your paycheck, and you gotta pay the Air Force back. Right? Don't do that to yourself. There's a GPA standard, minimum of 2.0 GPA at the undergraduate level, and a 3.0 at the master's level. You have to have a 3.0 to graduate a master's anyway. Gotta have that. Any questions so far? Next slide. Air Force policy based on TA, we talked about 124 semester hours for the undergraduate and 42 semester hours for the graduate degree. That's your master's program. Remember I said all courses for graduate and undergraduate are all tied to the cap. That's the 124 and 42, not the goal. So if you keep switching back and forth, you're gonna start spending money you don't need to spend. Don't do that to yourself. That's why it's important you sit with one of us so we can kind of guide you in the right direction and pursue what you want to do, not what you think somebody else wants you to do. What you want to do, not what I want you to do, what you want to do. Because it's your benefit that you're gonna be utilizing. Next slide. Air Force TA policy, you get associate, bachelor's, and master's, and the CCF degree does not count as the associate. So when you got those 64 semester hours on the CCF, you don't have to transfer those anywhere. You can start fresh with a whole new associate degree. Nice, isn't it? There you go. All right, any other questions on this one? Next slide. We don't want Army TA, we don't want Marine TA, we don't want Navy TA. Spouse and family members, Air Force Aid Society pretty much works overseas, right? Not here in the United States, over in Hawaii, different places like that. Next slide. Things to consider when you go into school. What are some of the things you want to consider first? What is first and foremost? It says accreditation, right? But it's not. What's first? When you go into school. I just told you.
What you want to do?
Exactly. Get the degree in something that you want to do. These are the things you'll use to evaluate the schools. But first and foremost, what you want to do. A goal without a plan is only a wish. Have an established goal, and here's the plan on how we're gonna help you achieve that goal. Right? Very important, right? Good stuff. But the things that are important is accreditation. Accreditation is very important because that means the school has been evaluated by the U.S. Department of Education and an accrediting agency that says this school is qualified to receive federal funds because they met the exacting standards of the U.S. Department of Education and the regional, national, or programmatic accrediting agency. Cost is very important. Don't spend all your money in one spot. You only got $4,500 per year. Don't spend it all at one school. Spend a lot of it at one school, but not all of it, okay? Location is important, very important. Why is it important? Because you're here on base. You can't go to Iowa. You got a concern. I would highly recommend going to schools in the local area, but College of Music in Berkeley,
Yes,
California?
sir. It's in Boston.
In Boston? It's in Boston?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, she don't want to go over to Boston, but she can talk to folks. Distance learning is great. It's nothing wrong, but everyone is not cut out to do distance learning. Make sure you find the schools that's going to meet your needs. Some of us have to be face-to-face. I prefer distance learning because I'm an independent learner. Other people need to sit face-to-face. Follow your own niche. If that's your niche, follow it. Course type is important. Distance learning, hybrid, and in residence. Distance learning is all online. Hybrid is part online, part in the classroom, and in residence is all in the classroom. All in the classroom. Transfer credits, make sure the school you plan to attend, you give them an official copy of your transcript so they can transfer those credits in appropriately. You have to send it from one school to the school you plan on attending. or from Maxwell Air Force Base to the College of Berkeley, or wherever you wanna go to school, okay? So they can evaluate. Accelerated versus traditional, that's just semester versus quarter. Some quarter-hour courses will have you in a classroom for 4 hours once per week. Some will have you in 1 hour per day for 5 days per week for 9 or 10 weeks. The same number of contact hours are being met, it's just that you're doing all in one day versus all over a 5-day window. That's all it means. Next slide. Accreditation, these are the different types of accreditation. Regional is the highest. This is the recommended accreditation if you plan on going to grad school. Because some people went to a national accredited school and then they decided they want to go to George Mason or James Madison to get their degrees, and that national accredited degree did not work. You see what I'm saying? The standards are different. It takes about 5 to 7 years to become regional accredited for a new school. It takes about 12 to 18 months for a national accredited school to become accredited. So that's why it's a very big divide between national and regional accreditation. Specialized accreditation can be in both areas. But as long as it's specialized and it's accredited, either school is sufficient. It depends on the skill set you're going to school for. For example, if you're going to school for culinary arts and the college or university is national accredited, still the specialized accreditation will exceed regional accreditation because of the specialization of the evaluation of the actual program that you're going to. It exceeds that. Like the American Culinary Federation, that's an accrediting group for culinary schools. With that being said, that takes you well over any state school. Next slide. MGIB, that's the Montgomery GI Bill. That's what we have now if we have not switched to post 9/11. That benefit is very small compared to post 9/11. You pay $1,200 for that benefit because of the new bill, the post 9/11. You switch from this benefit to post 9/11, the $1,200 comes back to you once you have completely exhausted all of the Montgomery GI, the post 9/11 GI Bill, forgive me. Post 9/11 GI Bill comes back to you. Next slide. Chapter 33, this is the benefit of choice. Any additional questions on this benefit? Very good benefit. Remember that the limited period is gone. No more 15-year limited period. If you transfer benefits to a dependent, so if Airman Bone says she's transferring a benefit to me or her son, she's going to incur a 4-year commitment. If you give it to a dependent, if you keep it for yourself, there is no additional commitment. But it pays tuition and fees directly to the school. It pays you up to $1,000 per year to cover your books, and it also pays you BAH as an E5 dependents once you walk away out of the Air Force and use this benefit. And it does not expire. Yes, ma'am.
So what would be the incentive to choose the Montgomery GI Bill instead? Zero. So
Zero.
why does the government offer it? Is it just a
Because that was the
economic-
first benefit after Vietnam.
Okay.
That was the first one. And they said, we'll pay this much money if you want to go to school once you leave the military. But see, even with Montgomery GI Bill, if you got tuition assistance and you can complete your bachelor's and associates on active duty, you can still use Montgomery when you leave the Air Force as well. But Montgomery GI Bill expires 10 years from the date of you leaving. This benefit here does not expire anymore. Okay?
I guess I don't understand why the Montgomery Bill is even offered anymore. Why can't
Well,
they
it is
always-
because it's not expired. It's gonna stay there as an option. It should go away. In my mind and your mind, we're thinking the same way, but no. That's VA money, and VA has no cap on its budget. Trust me on that, they do not. There's lots of benefits that we all are qualified for, but you wouldn't believe it until I tell you about it. Next slide. Transfer the benefits, dependents. As I said, you incur a 4-year commitment, but you must have served at least 6 years on active duty to effect a transfer to any dependent. If you're giving it to a child, you have to have served at least 10 years for that child to use that benefit. The child must graduate from high school, and they have to be between the ages of 18 to 26 years of age. If they wait until they turn 25 and a half, there's no benefits. So they got 18 to 26 years of age, they can use this benefit. Okay, next slide. How do the benefits compare? Well, there's no real comparison. Post 9/11 designed based on how George Bush and the team set it all up to cover your total cost of attendance while you're going to school, everything. Basically giving you no money to cover transportation, food costs, living expenses, whole 9 yards, and tuition and fees, regardless of the amount. Now here's another side to post 9/11. If you go into a private school, let's say Berkeley is a private school, then they pay up to $23,294 per academic year if you're using that benefit for 3 academic years, or 4 9-month academic years, shall I say. And let's say you're not on active duty. You're still gonna get BAH based on the zip code of the school, and you're still gonna get $1,000 every single year to cover your books. That's your private school, but that's for this post 9/11. If it is a state school, it pays everything pretty much up front. Don't cost you nothing. Okay? Next slide. Yellow Ribbon Program, that program is gonna be available to all active duty members as of 2022, as you speak now. Right now, you don't qualify for it because they just did not enact that part of the benefit because they know you have TA as well as GI Bill. So when 2022 comes around, if you're still on active duty, then you'll be qualified for the Yellow Ribbon Program. This program is designed where, let's say you're going to a private school and it costs $30,000 a year to go to school. And let's suppose the school only gets $23,000 from the VA. But the school says, we'll contribute $15,000 on top to cover that $30,000 cap. Then guess what happens? The VA says, I will match that. So still, you don't pay anything. That's what this program is designed to do, cover the total cost. Certain schools have limits, some schools have 0 limits on it. Some schools have different programs that are qualified for it, some schools do not. Very expensive programs like nursing or going to medical school, a lot of them do not. Because it's very expensive to go to medical school or not nursing school. It costs a lot of money. Next slide. How to apply. Vets.gov. Used to be, now it's va.gov. Change that. va.gov is how to apply. When you get ready to apply, you're gonna call me directly. I'm gonna walk you through the process and stop by the education office and we'll get through it easily. Very easy. We take about 5 or 10 minutes, you're done. The letter comes in 30 days. And I give you a number to call in case your letter don't come. So where's my letter? Here's my confirmation number. They'll say, okay, we'll fax it to you and we'll send you a new one out. Okay? Make sure you set up an e-benefits account. Next slide. Get started. How do you get started? You gotta talk to us. Like most everybody has talked to me before about going to school, and the plan is to make sure you start, stay, and graduate. Don't start and stop. Start, stay, and graduate. Don't start the engine and don't drive the car because it'll run hot. It loses its momentum, right? Start, stay, and graduate. That's the plan. Review the schedules. Make sure the plan and the schedule does not conflict with work, life, or family. It's very important. Work-life balance is very important when you're going to school. And you don't want to put yourself in debt, so make sure you understand school policy and protocol for the school. If you know for a fact that you cannot complete a course, talk to the school, but when you make changes with the school, you know it's going to affect your course that you just signed up a TA for, you must talk to us. Because we have to make adjustments for your TA as well. Especially if it's during an add drop period. Because some students did not call us, dropped the course, school didn't charge them, but Air Force block their next TA and start putting them out for a suspense for money, even though they didn't attend the course. Because no one said, Mr. Hart or Ms. Murphy or Ms. Jones, can you remove this course from my record? I did not attend and I'm not charged for it. Have the school send you an email, you send us that email, we'll remove that course. Okay, covering you. Register for classes, make sure you review the schedule, make sure the schedules don't conflict with all of our commitments. As long as they don't interfere with those commitments, pursue it. If you have to drop a course because of mission, 9 times out of 10, you can get that tuition waived. But you have to apply for a meal TA reimbursement waiver. You have to apply for that, it's not automatic. Letters from the supervisor and everyone to substantiate the change, but still you have to let us know as well and we'll work with you and get that meal TA reimbursement waiver set up. Register for classes first and then you apply for TA. Don't apply for TA and then register for classes, because you may not get the class. You register for classes first. You gotta have something to show you're gonna pay for something. So we won't give you TA without that. Next question. Schools in the National Capital Region. I have a complete listing of all the schools in the area. If you guys and ladies would like to have that listed, shoot me an email or give me a call, I'll email it to you so you can see what's going on with the different schools in the area. Next slide. Air Force Education Office, you got JBAP and you got the Pentagon, and you got my number directly. So y'all know where we're located right here on base. Every Tuesday I'm here. From what I heard from the guys here in the club, the Air Force is gonna take the base back in 2 years. If the Air Force takes it back, we open an office up 5 days a week. right here on Bay Shore. Okay? Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Done. You good?
I have one
Yes,
more
ma'am.
question, sorry. So will the post 9/11 GI Bill cover, for example, a master's degree that's abroad?
Yes.
They will?
But here's what happens. The school must have a U.S. affiliate in order to qualify. Let's hypothetically you're gonna go to Oxford University in England. And Oxford does not have an affiliate in the United States. No, we're not covered.
Okay, so for example, I know that the college that I'm getting my bachelor's degree from, Berklee College of Music, they offer a master's degree program in Spain. So that would work because there's a campus in Boston, Massachusetts. Okay,
Yes, it will cover that. But that's a private school, right?
I think so.
They pay up to $23K per year for that. Yes.
So how would BAH work?
Say again?
How would BAH work?
BAH, if you're not on active duty, let's say you're a civilian again,
Right. If I'm using the post 9/11 GI Bill benefits, because don't they pay BAH while you're in
yes.
school as well? So how would that work if
While
you're
you're in
studying
school,
abroad?
if you're not on active duty.
Right. If you're not.
off active duty, going to school at College of Music in Berkeley up in Boston, the Spain school,
Mm-hmm.
for example, they'll pay the national average, which is about $815 a month.
Okay.
That's not good, is it?
No, that's not good
It's
at
not
all.
enough. It's not enough. But that's how they pay it now. Yes, that's how it's paid.
Gotcha.
Okay? Next question. Any other questions? I'm here. Thank you all.
Yeah.
Very informative briefing. So let's moving right along to our ways and means.
Oh, thank you.
Treasurer report.
Thank you.
And we'll have a treasurer speak on that.
Okay. I don't even know how to follow that briefing. That was so informative. Like my brain's fried right now. So yeah, again, I'm the treasurer of the Rising Six, and my main responsibility is finances. So we do have a bank account right now. The account balance is $2,624.15. Now, we did spend money last month on providing lunch, and that was about $80. But my goal, once I get ready to turn over my position, is to turn it over with, if not the same or more, in the bank account than what's in there now. So, in order to do that, of course, we have to do some fundraising. And these are some of the ideas that we came up with. We had a council meeting about a week ago, and we thought the 4th of July would be a perfect opportunity to fundraise because there's going to be so many people here on base. I still have to look into the legalities of everything, but we talked about perhaps selling fried Oreos and maybe some pizza and some drinks or anything like that. But I would love to get some feedback from you all just to see if you guys have had any experience in fundraising. Did it work well? What didn't work so well? I know I'm in charge of I'm the vice president for the Asian American and Pacific Islander events that we're doing, and we had 2 fundraisers, and it was a bake sale. So we ended up just selling cookies from Costco, and we mostly got a bunch of donations, but it worked out pretty well. But I would love to get some feedback from you all. Does anyone have any suggestions or any sort of ideas on how we should fundraise? Yes,
Car wash.
car wash. Okay, I'm gonna be writing all of these down.
Write it down.
I got you.
Oh, you got me. Okay, cool. But before we do the 4th of July one, I would like to organize something, maybe start a little bit smaller, maybe do another bake sale to where at the same time we have some sort of a booth set up with a sign that talks about what our mission of the Rising Six is. Because quite frankly, a lot of people on the space have no idea. They've never heard of the Rising Six. So our goal would be to kind of knock out 2 birds in 1 stone. Not only educate people about what the Rising Six is and recruit more people, but at the same time, maybe collect some donations if we sell some cookies or just something little like that. Because I know that I've done it already, and it was successful. So if we start small, I might solicit some volunteers to do that, or maybe just the council. And then I would like to, in the future, partner with the WAT 3. I've been in touch with Master Sergeant Jenkins, who is also the treasurer of the WAT 3. And hopefully, in the coming months, we can perhaps partner up with them, do some they can probably mentor us, because I'm still pretty new in this position and I know I have a lot to learn. So yeah, that's kind of, that's the Ways and Means report for today. If you guys have any sort of suggestions on what we should do, then I'm all ears by all means. But until then, I'll look into the 4th of July. I think that's gonna be one of the main fundraisers that we do. And yeah, I think that's about all I've got. I wanted to keep this short just for the sake of time, but great.
Very informative. All right, so now we're gonna move into our mentorship portion of our meeting, and we have our representative from the WAC 3, my son Baker, and he'll have a few words.
All right, so you guys know I'm generally concerned about having constructive dialogue as well as thought-provoking topics to brief you guys on. So the one that I think this is a very, very common thing that we should talk about, which things are not necessarily talked about a lot. So I'll pose the question to you first. Should we talk about politics at work? Somebody answer for me.
No,
And why do you think so?
I think it's that we should keep a more, positive work environment, and some people can perhaps feel uncomfortable when we talk about politics, and I don't know, for me personally, I don't talk about politics at work, but I wouldn't get offended if somebody did, but perhaps other people would get offended. I don't know, I feel like we should just keep politics out of it.
Okay, anybody else?
I think sometimes it could stir up some emotions in, certain the work setting, and it could deter away from the professionalism and the environment, and you don't want that, because if you feel some certain type of way about a person's political views, it could deter away from the professionalism, and that's the last thing that you want, because that would, in the long term, would affect the overall mission.
Okay. So segue right from that to the next thing is, anybody ever experienced a very heated discussion at work because of political discussion? And as you're saying, you know what type of environment that creates, how does it make you feel, and things of that nature. And you're like, oh man, now I just completely feel turned off from either this person or this workshop. You see the negative effects that may come as a result of those particular political discussions. And during these discussions, you actually hear some things. This is kind of like to piggyback a little bit on the importance of education that Mr. Hart just talked about. Is one of the things that I learned from one of my coursework classes was a class called Informal Logic. And I was like, man, I wish I would have learned about this class a very long time ago. And during the coursework, you start talking about certain things called inductive and deductive reasoning. So I'll use a kind of a joke from a movie. If you remember the movie Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story. So the deductive reasoning is based off of logic, right? So, the wife tells Dewey Cox, hey, Dewey, you can't get married if you're already married to somebody already, right? And Dewey responds back with inductive reason of saying, hey, well, that means so you can wake up in the middle of the night and drink a bottle of milk and that's okay. Well, that's usually not based off of logic. That's probably some nonsense, but these are some of the type of political arguments that you probably hear in the workplace. Then you also hear certain, types of conversations that include different types of fallacies that you have. One, for example, you have your red herring fallacy. You'll see people that are, engage in conversation or dialogue, and somebody brings up a topic, and that red herring is introduced, which is basically an irrelevant topic that they start talking about that has nothing to do about what you're talking about. And then from there, if that doesn't work per se, they'll add in a ad hominem fallacy, which is basically, okay, now I can't win that argument, so let me attack the person's character or something like that, or the reason why they're doing that type of stuff. So these are some of the things that you may see during those particular discussions when people are having or discussing politics at work. However, though, at the same time, we got to consider that politics can be very tricky because it's very personal for a lot of people. And because those type of conversations are personal in nature, you kind of have to look at it in a way as, well, if I do decide to engage in these type of conversations at work, can they be productive? That's another question for you guys. What do y'all think?
It can be, so after, you storm, sometimes somebody may educate you on a particular view or that you may not even, or a different fact or something that you may not consider if you have an open mind and in the diverse environment that we are in. So it could, but, yeah.
Okay, and that makes perfect sense, and here's the reason why. You should always look at those type of conversational discussions as an opportunity, and that's a strategy in order to maintain, your civility, as well as maintaining like a sense of oneness within your shop, if you do decide to engage into those type of conversations at work. And mainly that opportunity that you use when you're doing that, the first strategy that you have to employ, first of all, is weigh your consequences. Somebody comes in, they say something like off the wall, in your opinion, you'll say to yourself, oh, that's probably the dumbest thing I ever heard, or something like that, right? Well, naturally, people are kind of like, keen on, using or being a part of or they receive like the information, and it triggers an emotional response, basically, right? So weighing those consequences, in my opinion, means, hey, don't have an episode when keeping it real goes wrong. You do something like that, it's probably going to cause you trouble per se. The next thing from there is, framing that as an opportunity. And I want to reference an article from the Harvard Business Review where the author Rebecca Knight discusses should you talk about politics at work. And one of the things that she indicates in the article, when you frame it as an opportunity, when you're talking about politics at work, is in a way you can look at it as a new opportunity to receive new empathy for other people, also gaining new ideas, and also a new understanding of how other people think. Because a lot of times when you're engaged in those type of conversations, it's us versus them. And when it's us versus them, you tend to, you fail to realize that us versus them mentality is only going to prevent and block you from gaining another understanding of how another person thinks. So the first thing that you want to do when you engage in that type of conversation is you'll say, let me ask an open-ended question to you. Well, how did you arrive at that opinion? What makes you think that way? Because a lot of stuff is relative to our experiences, right? So this is how we frame our worldview. This is how we frame our politics, things of that nature or not. But when you're in there, you're engaging in that conversation. If you decide and elect to do that, you get that new perspective of like, well, I'm not gonna just argue with you per se, but I want to understand the why you think that way. Because here's the thing, you guys are the future, and you guys knowing that you already had these type of conversations at work, or you even heard these type of conversations at work, you having that sense of emotional intelligence to say, hey, now I can understand why this person came to this conclusion, so to speak. Now, when I'm in a position of leadership and I see those type of conversations being had at work, now I can frame the environment just a little bit better. And you start off by saying, hey, when I elect to have these particular conversations, let me start off with, let me set a time limit first. All right, this is how long we're going to talk about this information. We're not, I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to engage in active listening. So those of you guys that already been to NCOA or at Lamb Leadership School, they tell you about active listening, because you want to, listen to what the person is saying and not listening to misunderstand just for the sake of, provide like a counter argument. And when you're doing those type of things, in that dialogue that you're having, be respectful, be open-minded, and also, be concerned, because when you engage in these type of conversations and it's thoughtful, it is productive, and you have a mutual understanding or mutual respect for each other, guess what? You created an opportunity. You also create an opportunity to have what? Additional difficult discussions at work. Because now that you know the person that you've been sitting around engaging in, and you come at it from a educated and informative standpoint, these other difficult discussions that you may need to have at work, you're a little bit more open-minded to talk to that person about it. So this information I'm presenting to you is not reflective on the Air Force. Let me throw out a disclaimer, so to speak, and it's reflective from my personal experiences. Because I was the airman at that NCO before, where I'd be like, look, you need to get out of here with that nonsense. That's a mess. I'm not trying to hear that. And you know, as you mature, as you evolve, you say, all right, well, let me figure out how to, you know, deal with this better. Because just the simple sake of argument, as we all introduced in the first, you know, bit of this discussion, was we see the negative effects that it's going to have on the workplace environment when you're constantly engaging with someone in a negative way, because it does not promote unity. So when you take the opportunity, if you see this the next time around, just take some of the notes that I gave you guys today, you know, put it in action. You know, don't let it just be, you know, the person's up here just blah, blah, blah talking or whatever. You're going to experience, if you haven't already experienced before, you're going to experience these type of situation scenarios. And I just want to provide the information from my personal experiences that hopefully is going to help you guys out in the future, because you are the future. And, you know, we're only in this thing temporarily from time to time as we go along, and you want to get that mentorship from somebody else, say, hey, this is how I did it. And these are my experiences. But at the same time, from how I did it and my experiences can also teach you how to do things better. And that's the key that you guys have to consider. So, and on the counter to that, if things, you know, kind of, you know, go for, you know, a turn for a negative, then you have to know how to properly disengage or deflect. If you see that the conversations are going south and you guys aren't having the right dialogue and it just doesn't make sense, you know, deflect, change the subject, you know, cut it off, disengage, and just kind of go about your, you know, your merry way. But at the same time, you also want to make sure their environment is respectful as possible. So again, just to give you guys a recap of, you know, the things that I'm talking about today is, yes, we are a microcosm of society. You know, what happens outside the military and what we experience and what we see on TV and stuff like that, it affects all of us. But at the same time, we got to realize that, you know, we're, you know, held to a higher standard as the military, and we have to, you know, always tell ourselves that, hey, we have the tools, we have the knowledge, we have the mentorship, we have the resources to be better. And, you know, and not only just, you know, if you would take this from the standpoint of, this doesn't have to be just, you know, relative to politics. It could be any issue. You know, this is how you actively engage another person with a different opinion. Because whether or not if it's relative to politics, or if you're going up further in leadership positions and you're up there sitting on the board and you're going to have some dialogues with other people that you might disagree with. So you have to know how to engage people the right way in order to make sure that you're getting your point across, but at the same time you're being respectful. It's based off mutual respect, mutual understanding, and then you, in the long run, the thing you gain from it is, what kind of, you know, healthy environment did I promote at work? You know, is my workplace better if we decided to engage in stuff based off of these particular, you know, standards that we have set in stone, if we do engage to talk about that. So I always encourage people to go back in each, you know, scenario, and even the things that I briefed today, do your independent research. You know, don't ever be in the situation where, like, all right, well, I'm just take that person's word face value. You know, granted, give or take, we're in the military and whatnot, so you know what situations that you do that and what you don't do, but at the same time, for your own personal knowledge and for your own, like, you know, toolkits in the future, make sure, you know what I'm saying, you're always doing your independent research, because as Mr. Hart advocated, you know, up here, you know, quite kindly today, and I've, you know, had a lot of dialogue with him before in the past too, is education is going to get you there. You know, so I introduced my courses that helped me out with this. You know, I even, you know, talked to Sergeant Henderson a while back when we was talking about the vision and mission statements and stuff.